Is Monkey D. Luffy going to become king of the pirates? We're going to talk about where we think the show is going to potentially go for season 2. We're going to do that right now on the Sundowners Club. So, One Piece. I know you're more of an anime guy than I am.
Am I?
Well, at least more than I am. And in full transparency, I had not watched any of the previous or the comics or anything around
I've only watched a few episodes.
One Piece
of
before the
anime.
series came on Netflix. Pretty much the same as you, right?
Right.
Now, what I have done is since then, like a lot of you out there, probably have gone back and watched some of it, the anime, to compare now that we've seen the show. But let's get into a couple of things first. So before we get into a few things that maybe you didn't know about One Piece, let's talk about, did we like it? Did we not like it? And what are our thoughts around the characters that are in the show or in this first season? That's the live action version of the anime. I'm going to start with, I really liked it, but it took me a little while. It right out of the gate, the first thing I noticed was that it doesn't take itself too seriously at all. It lets you know right away that this is a campy style pirate adventure.
I mean, it's staying pretty authentic to the anime, really, for tone and everything.
Totally made sense to me.
And it's over the top, and they're keeping that in live action.
Even the way they shot some of the camera angles, where you have a camera and there's a character, and if you notice, the camera's right up on the character, so there's a close up, like right below their face, and it's got that kind of anime style where they have big expressions, and I really like that. And right away, the first episode, you see things that are not natural, that are kind of exaggerated in that world, and they let you know this is who we are, take it or leave it, and you either stick with it or you don't. And I stuck with it. I like the fact that none of these characters, I had not seen them in anything before. They weren't recognizable to me. And the young guy playing Monkey D. Luffy, I had not seen him in anything. I liked him. I bought into the campiness of it. What'd you think the first episode or two as we were introduced to Luffy and to Zoro and to Nami?
Well, I mean, a lot of that just kind of comes
And Kobe.
down. Yeah, it kind of comes down to if you're someone who's never watched anime before, I don't think you would enjoy this. I think it would just probably be too cheesy. What do you think? Do you think?
I haven't really done anything around anime, and
you still liked it, right?
I really liked it, but it took me. We've talked a little bit about this off camera, but it took me till about episode 5 when we met Zeph and Sanji, where I really liked it. Like when we met them,
it has some darker, more serious moments kind of later on. But
yeah,
I think with me, I grew up on like the anime that I watched was darker and a lot more serious. Cowboy Bebop, Trigun, Ninja Scroll, stuff like that. And
yeah.
One Piece got big a little later, and it's definitely a lot more lighthearted than the stuff that I used to watch when I was younger. And it's definitely over the top. And I never, for some reason, I never got into it when I was younger. But
Yeah, and it's important to note too that
I kind of want to go back and watch it now.
The creator Ichiro Oda, that's done One Piece. One of the things that I was not aware of is that they've done 20 seasons and over 1,075 episodes.
I think it's finished though, isn't it? Is it run it?
I'm not sure. I'm sure they'll let us know in the comments. Where the show is, the future of the animated or the anime side of it. But they certainly have enough content to do this Netflix show series for a while. And so basically, let's talk real quick for those that maybe before we get into spoilers, and we'll warn you when we really get into the spoilers. Let's talk real quick about what the show's really about. And it's this young kid, teenage kid, Monkey D. Luffy, and he has dreams of being a pirate.
That's the central core theme.
And
follow your dreams no matter what. That's the core theme of it.
So the first part of the first episode, we have a pirate that has been captured, that is a middle-aged pirate, and is going to be executed, and has a treasure, the One Piece, and everybody wants to know where it is. And so be careful when you're watching the scenes of the execution of the crowd. There's some characters in there, that younger versions of themselves that show up later, that if you watch with an eagle eye, you'll spot a few of those characters. But So the One Piece is a treasure everybody is seeking, past the Grand Line, right? And so you hear about the world that's around them, and everybody's seeking out this treasure. And as this character Gold Roger is going to be executed, he doesn't tell where the treasure is, but that leads to inspiration. And so we fast forward to this young guy, Monkey D. Luffy, who has dreams of being the king of the pirates, and he's got tunnel vision, right? One track mind. It's all about building a crew and being the purest form of a pirate that he can be. And that's where the show starts. And to be a great pirate, you got to first have a crew. And he sets out about building a crew. And we meet Kobe first, and we meet Nami, and we meet Zoro, and few episodes in, we meet Usopp at was it Syrup Village?
Yeah, I think so.
And so, we who did you like? Tell me some of the characters, that when you first few episodes, of the crew itself, the core characters. Who'd you like?
I mean, I like all of them after a while. I mean, it does, some of the lines come off like, did you cringe at all? Like
I was not I got to be honest, I wasn't a big fan of Usopp.
Really?
Yeah, I just
Yeah.
I didn't pay as much of attention. I mean, he exaggerates.
Some of the
he
scenes
lies.
that were trying to be really dramatic, it's just the acting just. I mean, I get it because it was based off this over the top anime. So I
Right,
mean,
right.
And I appreciate what they were doing because they were really trying to capture that same feeling in live action. But sometimes it just doesn't come off. It's kind of like when we talk about Star Wars when they do the live action shows that are heavily inspired off the animation. It's similar to that. I mean, they are trying to keep that exact same tone for live action, which.
So, what'd you think about some of the villains? We saw several villains throughout the 8 episodes.
I mean, I love their designs. And what was his name? Arlong, the shark guy, and then
I liked Arlong
and the Dracula guy. What's it?
Mihawk?
Yeah, he was super cool. I mean, but again, they're ridiculous and over the top. But
What about Buggy?
But they're cool. I liked him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, and again, you buy into it because his arms can be detached, his legs, his head, and
the whole world is like
it's
they're all,
campy
they're,
like that.
they're all in on it. Like they're all in trying to capture that over the top anime experience in live action, and they go full in on it. And I appreciate that and what they're trying to do.
So I liked several of the villains. I thought they did the villains well. I ended up enjoying Buggy. I did not initially, but I ended up enjoying Buggy. And my 2 favorite characters were Sanji and Zoro. And
The cook and the swordsman.
they showed the backstories. They were efficient within the flow of the story, and I really enjoyed both of them. And they both happen to be great fighters. So naturally, I that's kind of the characters I like. But they both were written well, and I really enjoyed that. And I think that Zeph. I wanted to see more of Zeph. I like the story as it relates to Sanji. But at the end of the day, the show lives and dies with Luffy, and I was good with Luffy. As a central character that's driving the story, I enjoyed the portrayal because I haven't seen him in anything else, and so to me, he was Monkey D. Luffy. And
I think one of the most, probably the most impressive parts of the show were the set pieces and just the
so let's talk about that. That's one thing that you may not know about the show, is that the cinematographer did not want to use the volume. And you've heard us talk about the volume before, and the volume has been used to some degree on House of the Dragon, but a lot of Star Wars of the series that you see on Disney Plus have used the volume. And when you see these elements, these other worlds where it just doesn't look real to you, doesn't look believable, it's a little too washed out in terms of like some of the lighting and everything, that's the volume. And they did not want to do that on this. They went on location and they
built
filmed.
the sets out.
They built the sets, practical sets, and the cinematographer talked about not using the volume and wanting to build all this out, and it shows. in each episode, and I loved it.
They did. I think that is the single most impressive part of the
Very
show,
impressive.
because you have crazy stuff that you'd see in a cartoon. You'd think, how are they going to do that to live action? And they just built the sets out, and they look amazing. That, and I thought some of the action scenes were actually surprisingly very good. You know, some of that over the top, because Monkey's got these stretchy powers. He's kind of like Mr. Fantastic, because he eats this fruit that gives him these powers, and for them to show that in live action and make it look as good as it did, I thought that was pretty impressive too.
Yeah, another thing that you may not have noticed unless you had the keen eye or had watched the anime before and were looking for it was, and we mentioned Gold Rogers at the beginning of the show, his execution when he's out in the public. There are several characters that show up later that were there at the execution, younger versions of themselves. We won't give all of them away, but there was a younger version of Hawk.
I saw him, yeah.
And Shanks with the red hair. And then there's another character that we'll wait a couple of minutes before we talk about, because there's a little bit of a lead into season 2. But keep an eye out for the people that attended in the beginning episode of the execution of Gold Rogers. It plays into the larger mythos around the One Piece and these characters that all impact Luffy in some way or another. So another thing that I thought was interesting is you have to look at the wanted posters, because there are characters that we have not been introduced to yet.
I kind of like how they did that. Like
that show up on the wanted posters.
The wanted poster would show up like right when they'd introduced the character. I thought that was pretty cool.
Really cool. And so you have to kind of watch. We'll give you one little tidbit, which is a wanted poster with Foxy Silver Fox. So you have to keep an eye out for those things. And so let's talk about, for myself not watching the anime until I had seen the show, I was a little confused initially by the credits map. You know, there were some things on there that I didn't understand, but now that I've seen some of the anime, you'll be smart to watch the credits map that is shown, and you'll see things like the island of rare animals and some other things on the map. So that's a little Easter egg that you need to be on the lookout for. And let's talk about the end scene. So we get to the point of his crew is coming together. Luffy gets betrayed by a character. We won't give that away for those who haven't seen it.
Although I'm sure just between most people probably have seen the anime.
So
most people probably know.
They got to go fight,
right.
And they fight Arlong. And there's a big fight towards the end, and Luffy gets his crew, and he's off to the gold line. But he's going to have a journey before he gets there. And people that have seen anime, they know where it's going. Mm-hmm. And so let's talk about the last scene where you have a character that's smoking a cigar and burns a hole into Luffy's wanted poster. And so I would assume for those that are paying attention, that's going to be the main villain for season 2. And that's going to be a character called Smoker. And so, you see him burn a hole in Luffy's wanted poster. And so as they try to attempt to make their way to the gold line, they're going to end up somewhere else. And we won't give too much away about that, but they're going to have to face off with some adversaries and individuals who, by the way, Luffy has an ability that was created by eating a fruit,
right,
that allows him to stretch. Kind of reminds me of Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
So he stretches. He can stretch his body. He's kind of made of rubber, right?
Basically, yeah.
And so, but he's not the only one who's eating fruit. And so,
a lot of them have. I think a lot of the pirate kings have.
Yeah. So they develop different powers, and Smoker just doesn't smoke a cigar. There's other reasons why he's got the name Smoker, and so that's going to lead into season 2, and we're going to see villains. But now Luffy is.
They announced a season 2, didn't they?
They did. So that's one thing as we get towards the end here is
this
One
did
Piece
really well.
I expect One Piece will be number 1 on the Nielsen charts by far. I think has earned it. I think it was interesting. I think it was fun. I think anybody can watch it. I think it had a character for everybody. If you didn't like one character or another character, they had a character for you. based on your personality. That's what I really enjoyed about the characters and about the story. And I'm a sucker for stuff around pirates as long as you tell the story right. And so One Piece, first 8 episodes, season 1, I enjoyed it. You know, I want to quit giving things a number. But let me just say, instead of ranking something 1 to 10, I don't want to do that anymore because I always end up changing my mind and go down or up. Let's just say I really liked it, and I'm looking forward to season 2. What about you?
I thought it was pretty good, but now I'm actually probably more interested in the actual anime.
Well, that's good too.
I think I'd rather go back and watch it because I'm sure that's probably going to be better.
Well, that's going to make them money. That's what they want. They want people watching the Netflix live action show and
just
watching
build interest
anime.
in the franchise. Yeah,
absolutely. They're going to come out with toys and collectibles.
They've had those for years. I think like One Piece.
That's going to be ratcheted up now.
Yeah, I mean it's one of the. I think it was one of the best selling mangas of all time. If I remember, it might be the best selling. It's either that or Dragon Ball, probably. I would guess, but
yeah,
yeah. I don't know. I enjoyed it. You just got to get past that campiness, but it's based off an anime, so I like what they're doing. They're trying to stay authentic to it, and I respect that.
And as we wrap up, you know, one thing that I did not know: this is the 3rd highest selling comic of all time behind Superman and Batman.
What is One Piece? Really?
It is.
So that would make it the best selling manga then, right?
It has to be. I pulled it up online.
It's the
3rd. Correct me if I'm wrong. Leave a comment. Let me know. But I pulled it up online, and that's what I saw.
But how do they do that? They take cumulative sales.
I don't know. I don't know how they measure that in terms of the number of issues of a comic, because obviously that could play into it.
The top selling comic book of all time, period, I believe, was X-Men 1 in the early 90s. But
yeah, they're probably looking at the
overall franchise.
Yes, the overall franchise. Because when you talk about Superman and Batman, of course.
One Piece has been around. I think it came out in 97 is when the manga came out. So
right.
And I'm not sure when the anime came out, but that's, Superman's been around since what, the 40s?
Late 40s,
yeah. So I mean, that's a
post World War II. Yeah,
that's a big, to be that high on the list.
Absolutely.
To be around in the late 90s, it's pretty impressive.
I enjoyed it. It came out of nowhere for me, probably like it did for a lot of you that did not, have anything to do with the anime before.
I'm not sure how much our audience will appreciate it. I don't know if the same people watching 1923 will watch
or Game of Thrones.
Piece.
You know what?
But that's fine.
I think a lot will. I think it's and then people like good content. So it's something you get exposed to and you didn't know you wanted it, and then you enjoy it. And so let us know what you think. Who was your favorite character in season 1 of One Piece, and why did you like them? Let us know what you think. Leave a comment below.
I'm curious if fans of the anime like the show.
Yeah, like if you have a history with One Piece. And
what do you think?
What was your thought on the live action adaptation of it? And if you did, what was your reaction? Let us know what you think. Leave us a comment. Hit the like button. Let us know if you want to see more around One Piece, and we'll cover it for you. Most importantly, hit the subscribe button so that we can continue to grow our channel. And TCB.